Hi guys, it is Sunday 10 a.m. So I had a lot of time left, but I also have to do a lot of things still, because I have to review the Sony Xperia Tablet Z4. I want to make a revisited video of the Z5, but I wanted to start with the one thing that actually is a lot of fun on a Sunday. I usually wanted to do it on Saturdays, but I yesterday made already 2 videos, so I didn't really have the time, or maybe didn't want to, because I want something that is called free time a little bit on my weekends after all. But I have to also say, the reason why I do so many videos voluntarily on the weekends is because usually on Monday, Tuesday and on Wednesday I'm quite lazy, so that's where I don't do so much. And that's why I try to make more on the weekend, so I can spread that throughout the week. And usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that is my days that I'm working more, unless I have something to do, because actually Monday to Wednesday I didn't really have anything to do yet, because I was still reviewing everything. But why the long introduction? For no reason. So what I wanted to tell you though also is that I want to change a little bit about the ramblings, but not really anything big or so. The only thing that I want to do is make a few less topics, but therefore get a little bit more time to discuss those. Because what I noticed, if I had like 8 or 9 topics, then I had like 2 or 3 minutes for everyone. And then with all my rambling and all my going off track and all that, I sometimes had topics with like 1 minute or so. But I would rather make a fewer topics, but therefore go a little bit more in depth, because in 1 or 2 minutes, with my rambling, there's not really much of any content, and that's why I want to make it a little bit shorter. And explaining this for 2 minutes is exactly the right way to do that. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the replies on, or the feedback on my content of last week, because I asked for that and I really appreciate it. Because what I got in terms of feedback was, for example, I asked for, did I change over time? Did I become an ass or so? Did I change in my way I do things and so on, if I'm not maybe that likable anymore in terms of watching videos? And the feedback was mostly positive. Everyone said I changed, but in a positive way, because the content got better in terms of quality, which I actually didn't even ask about, because I more wanted to know if I personally changed. But if I get positive feedback about my video content and audio quality, then that is appreciated, highly appreciated. But I also got a few comments that told me that maybe because I asked why I lost some older, more loyal back then viewers, and he said that maybe because of the lack, or the getting rid of the hangouts, of the live hangouts, is the reason for that. Because I did those, I think we made like 13 or so that's not that much, but they were long, so I could cover like twice of that, because some of them were like 4 hours long. And he said that some of my viewers back then maybe appreciated those, and with those being gone, because those got them even closer to me. And I'm not quite sure if that's the reason. That's something that you would have to answer me, because I did ask for the live hangouts if people are interested in a poll, and the poll didn't really get any actions. I didn't really see any results, so I didn't know if people wanted them still. And I want to do them, but I will also get to that. Let's just cover that right now. I am kind of afraid of the live hangouts for some unknown reason again, because back then when I did them, my connection of internet, so the internet connection was very slow at my upload, and my crappy quality was just too bad to really get somewhere with those. But since I have, on paper 46 megabit upload, but it's so fluctuating, so I would say maybe closer to solid 10. Maybe 20 at best. I can't really say, because it's really wonky, at least that if I upload YouTube videos. And then the quality should be there now, but I haven't made a live hangout since the last one. I think it was January 2015, so a year, more than a year. And I didn't even install my webcam, I didn't install anything, so I want to kind of get back to it. But maybe the live hangout, like maybe once a month, or maybe maybe what would actually be quite a good idea, maybe if I started doing them again, like every second week, 1 rambling, and then the next week 1 live hangout. Then of course I would need you though to be active and get online, and at least, if not being active on the channel, but at least ask me questions and so on. Because if it would be something that I maybe don't want to do, maybe that's just every second live hangout, invite people in, because the thing is, I'm not a good host. I can't really talk that well with other people online in front of the camera, at least if I'm the host. If I'm one of many, maybe yes, but that's the one thing. So that is definitely up to, but I need more feedback if you actually want that, because I don't really have a big followership. But what I also wanted to tell you is one thing that I'm super happy about, because I talked about that last rambling, that my subscribers gone up from about, I think the previous month it was like 800. Last week I told you I crossed the 1000 subscriber mark a month. And by now I'm at slightly over 1200 a month. So I've raised more. So, and the stats actually tell me that I have a growth of 67% over the last month, which doesn't make sense in terms of numbers, but that is great. That is amazing. And I'm so happy. And I want to not just thank all the old loyal viewers of mine, but also the new ones, because I'm not sure if the new ones are actually watching these, because I'm not actually quite sure for what reason the newer ones subscribe, because I noticed I got quite a few new subscribers from the Nexus videos and so on, but that's not much. That's like 100 in total. But still, if you are one of those new subscribers and you like these ramblings, let me actually know why. From the old ones, I actually know that, but you can still tell me that I'm awesome. It would be nice. That's definitely cool. So this in terms of feedback. From the Linus talk that I did, a few people actually said they unsubscribed him because of the advertisements. A few still said he's one of the best ones, and they watched his content since the unboxings back on the street and so on. I still like him. I still watch his content, not everything, but I don't watch every video of every YouTuber I subscribe. That's just not possible. But that's it for the feedback, and I've talked way too long about it, because 7 minutes since I'm limited to 30 minutes. So, okay, what I wanted to talk next is the 2016 flagships, and I want to quickly talk about a few of them. And even though I haven't tested them yet, I want to share my opinion, because of a lot of people always ask me, what do you think about the G5? What do you think about the HTC 10? And yes, I didn't test them yet, but this is just my opinion so far. Of course, once I have them, I will share these opinions as well. But let's actually do this just real quick. The big ones. The one that is out already, S7, is still my daily driver. I still love it. It's not perfect, definitely. It has some quirks, but in total, it's still totally worth it, especially what I paid for, because I paid with selling off my Gear VR that I got for free about 500, and 500 is absolutely worth, since I sold my Z3 for 230, I think, and so I had to pay additional 260. That's absolutely worth the upgrade for me, and I totally like it. If I would have had to pay 700, I don't think I would have. Okay, I would have been able to get it for like slightly over 600, because the price has come down. So it's still a great phone, still the best that I've tested until now. Yeah. Now, the next one, the G5. I don't think the G5 will change anything in the S7 being good, because I don't want to talk about the whole quality thing, that it's not metal, it's primer, or it's paint, or it's not metal, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about that. It matters that the phone feels good in the hand, and if it doesn't, then I will definitely call that out. I will definitely have to see. What I don't like so much is what everyone did mention so far, is that it's not seamless, the part from the battery or the module part, that I think is still completely gimmick. I don't think it is anything. And even now, after a while of having them now, the reviewers tell or say that the great thing are the two cameras on the back, because of the wide angle lens and the normal field lens, and not the actual modules, because the modules, as for right now, are completely utter bullshit in my opinion. Because the camera module, if you are going to go out and really use it as a full-fledged camera, you can already take your own one, because you won't have this thing with you all the time also. So if you want to go somewhere out and do great shots, you will have your camera, or just not use the grip, because the grip is not that useful. And the USB DAC, from what I got, I saw a few, or saw at least one review, and someone said it's more like a DSP. So not really anything. It doesn't enhance the actual quality, and he said it actually degraded the quality, because it put some very artificial sound on it. It boosted some things in a way that it shouldn't have. So definitely not great. So I'm definitely not looking out for that, because I wouldn't pay, what is it, like 100 extra for a deck? No, for that money I can get a proper deck if I want to carry one with them. But the normal sound from the normal deck should be good enough. And if you are really high into high audio quality, then you will have something dedicated anyways. So that's about the G5. The cameras, yes, they are great. I'm pretty sure they are very good, but I won't really be that impressed by it because I'm not a huge camera guy anyways. The performance should be good. That is something that I definitely look out for. Then it's a little bit too big, because from what I see on pictures, it's as a 5.3 inch as big as the 5.5 inch Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and that's a no-go, because I always wanted a smaller one. And this is from someone who actually built the G2, one of the first super compact flagships with 5.2 inches being as big as a 5 incher. And it's so sad to see that they went away from that. And yes, I have to turn off all my turn around all my devices, because the blinking of the notifications is a little bit distracting. So these are my thoughts. G5, nice phone, but not something that LG should have released. It should have been something more like a flex, but not the proper flagship. Now, the P9, Huawei P9. I absolutely am excited for this phone for so many reasons. First of all, the Leica dual cameras seem nice, and they will provide a hopefully really great picture. I have high hopes in that, but since you know me, I have already said it. I'm not a huge camera guy, so other things are more important for me. But the one thing that I like so much is now, because I've used and reviewed the P8 and I like that one, but I said it's a little bit more on the edgy, boxy side, something like more the recent Sony X Performance devices, so just not that round and comfortable in the hand. And you know, I love round, organic, pebble-like phones, and the P9 is a lot smoother this time. And maybe you actually noticed I don't move my hands. Maybe because I sit more comfortable today, because I have them here in this pouch pocket. No need for moving my hands at the moment, but I will if I have to. And if you've seen the last video, then you know what I'm hinting at. But P9. It feels a lot more round, I think so. It looks a lovely lot. We have 2.5D glass, which is pretty much the one thing that I want from a phone, because I am kind of tired of all those edges around the phones. I want something with a 2.5D glass. And for example, I'm not quite sure which phone it was. I think it was actually last year's S6, had a 2.5D glass and then still an edge that went a little bit higher. So even though you had the smooth curved glass, you still felt the edge. This is no, I don't want this. I want to feel 2.5D and then a smooth transition to the sides. This is something that I absolutely want. This will the phone have. Then it will have the best button placement in the business still. I think Huawei does exactly that, because the power button in the right position with the volume rocker above. Perfect. Very compact design, a huge 3000 mAh battery with the 1080p display. And that is something that I'm really looking forward, because one thing that Huawei also does best in the industry is the color calibration. They make the best whites and they make quite good blacks, I hope so, on this device as well, because the colors will be spot on perfectly well as anyways. So if they manage to give it a real deep black, so this display with the 1080p IPS display will be super sharp and don't have to hold, and it won't be any back compared to an QHD device, because I noticed that a IPS 1080p device is still pretty much as sharp as an QHD AMOLED, because AMOLED for some reason just isn't super crisp in terms of fonts and so on in apps. So 1080p would be absolutely fine. That will also should have a good impact on the battery. So I'm definitely looking forward to that if they manage to make a great display with blacks, because the blacks are the one thing that I'm not so happy about current IPS displays, especially something that I've reviewed right now again with the Sony Xperia line with the Z3 Plus and Z5. The IPS glow is something that bothered me so much. And if you watch my actually I don't have that, I didn't make that, but what I will post, a Z3 Plus or Z5 picture of a black background with something in between and the AMOLED display, and you will notice that how much better in normal lighting, but also especially in dark lighting, because I use my phones mostly in a dark environment. the difference is so bad, and I don't like this IPS glow so much anymore on IPS display. So if they maybe can get it on a G4 level, because the G4 was one of the best IPS displays that I've seen in terms of blacks. So I wanted that. The next thing would be the HTC 10, and I'm actually quite good in terms of time. 15 minutes, good. HTC 10. So that's the big one everyone is talking about. Why? Because it just has been announced, reviews are coming in. So what are my thoughts on that one? Let me think. First of all, I think the bezels are a little bit big, but I can live with that. The second thing, the buttons on the front, the capacitive buttons and the fingerprint reader are making me angry, because why are they so low? They are way too low, and I'm not quite sure why they aren't in the middle, because I'm someone who's very about symmetrics. I need things to be in the middle. And if you, for example, see my videos, and this is something you most probably have never noticed, but the middle of this frame is exactly what you can see here. This, wait, where am I showing actually? Is this line. This, oh, that's a bit hard. Wait, this hand is here. This white line is the center of my videos every time. I make that right, because that's for me the center of the kind of room that I have here. I would have wanted it to actually be the center of this drawer in the back, but it wasn't just possible in terms of the rest, but I have to have some middle point. And I actually, something that you don't see on the desk, have a mark that is exactly the middle of the camera. So everything about what I do is about symmetrics, at least as much as I can. And if, for example, what I noticed on my last few videos, I actually noticed one thing. If I put this line here, so the cupboard here, as you can see, it's parallel to the display, or to the border of the display. But I can't get it to be also parallel with the desk. There is a slight little differentiation. So either my desk isn't perfectly aligned or the cupboard isn't perfectly aligned, but somewhere there is a small, tiny little difference. And that bugs me actually. And now seeing the button, the home button on the HTC not being in the middle, which is actually still too low, because what I also noticed, everyone always wants these borderless phones with no edge at all here. But if you don't have this, let me turn it on. I need some light background. Okay, so as you can see here, if you don't have this border at the back, at the bottom, I noticed that actually while typing on a keyboard, I have a hard time stretching so much down to the bottom to actually hit the spacebar. I notice very, especially on the S7 that has very small borders, that I type, and every time I reach down to the spacebar, I actually hit the row above. So it's okay if things are a little bit higher. That's because one reason I think so. Everyone wanted the HTC bar to be gone. But if you check properly, they still have enough room above the home button to actually put that there. It's just not visible anymore, but it kind of is as a ghost still there, because the space is there. So I would have liked to have seen this a little bit higher, but to not drag this any longer. The buttons on the sides look really nice. I just hope they are not too hard to press or not too soft to press, if they make the right thing, because the position seems great with the power button below as well. It seems a little bit thick for a 3000 mAh battery in terms of overall size, because considering that it is a 5.2 inch compared to the S7 that is a 5.1 inch, it still is noticeably thicker and is also like more, I think 2.5 millimeters wider. For just a tenth of an inch bigger of a display, that's actually a lot. You should have at least have a 5.3 inch display, because I want narrow devices. So 72 is completely fine. I think it's like 72.4 millimeters, which is absolutely okay, since I think the Sony Xperia Z3 that I had 72 as well. So that's okay, since the curve will help me gripping it. So in overall design, I think it's really nicely done. I just hope that the metal is quite grippy, because I love that one on the M9, because the M9 had this hairbrush finish, which was super grippy for me. Because with just a smooth transition like it was on the A9, That's actually not that grip. It's not bad, but the textured finish was way better. So I'm looking forward to that. Then the speaker. We have a bass speaker on the bottom and a tweeter, and for the mids on the earpiece. This could work out quite nice. I'm definitely looking forward to that because yes, everyone says it's not stereo anymore, but if it's good enough and it makes a good immersive effect, then it's also quite okay for me. At least I can't block it, and if it's loud enough and especially rich enough, if the bass speaker does a good job, I am fine with that because I'm super fine with the sound just downfiring on the S7 and a few other phones, so that is no issue for me. The rest seems all good. I like the design, definitely. 2.5D glass once again, something that I like a lot. And then the last thing to talk about would be the display. One of the main reasons, once I heard it won't be Super AMOLED, why I went for the S7 and not wait first for the HTC 10, because these were my main competitors. But I wanted Super AMOLED, and I told you why, because I want those deep blacks. If I am if I use my phone a lot at night, and then I just wanted these pitch black blacks. Pitch black blacks, that's fine. I want these, because if I have this light from the backlight of the display, it was super annoying on Sony devices. That's the main reason. But if they can deliver, because from all we read so far, the display seems to be amazing because LCD 5 QHD. With the QHD on an IPS, it should be super sharp. Super sharp. Super sharp. Yep, that's the thing. So I'm definitely looking out for that. I just hope they can manage a great black with a low amount of IPS glow, and then I would be sold. Because, okay, now this sounds a little bit odd, but I was actually thinking of selling the S7 and getting maybe the P9. Or maybe even the HTC 10. I can't say for sure, but I will definitely keep the S7 mostly already just because of the comparisons that I want to do with all the other phones. Maybe later back in the year I would change, but this sounds odd now. Why would I change it? Because I love it so much. I'm not quite so sure, because I think this is a topic for another video, or if I have the time. Don't get me wrong, I still love absolutely the S7, but there are just a few minor things, like the better button placement on the P9. Maybe, I don't think the, yeah. Nah, forget that. I will definitely keep the S7. If anything changes here, in my opinion, I will put this in another rambling, because it sounds really odd right now, but no. What am I thinking? The S7 is still killer. The small little things, it is me just being crazy. And maybe because, I don't know, forget it. Okay, the last one to talk about, I just want to briefly mention the big ones. Sony, just real quick, X Performance, we already know about it. I think it looks great, potentially a really nice phone, but until I hold it in my hands, I don't really want to speculate anymore. But from a paper standpoint on what we have in specs, it's great. Motorola, the one thing that I can't say anything about yet, because we don't really have any news on the big one yet, only for the small one with the fingerprint reader on the front, which I would love to have. But according to Total Tech, the one that is supposed to be the Moto X successor, it will be on the back. You know, I'm not the biggest fan on the back, but I could live with that. And here's the one thing, and maybe I will actually make a second take to make this video a little bit longer, because I won't be able to get all my topics done. But here's the one thing that I wanted to talk about real quick, and maybe I will stretch out this video a little bit more. I wanted to talk about what I think personally these brands that I already talked about, should improve on their next phones or in the future in general. So let's start in the same order that I did already. Samsung. What should they change for next year, for example? I still want that. We have these color profiles, but I want some custom options to set my colors, because I definitely still want the white to be a little bit colder. I still want that. That is the one thing. I want the buttons, I said that so many times, I want them somewhere on the right. It's not a big deal, but I still want that. They should definitely get their quality control in line, because my power button sounds super subtle, but on the S7 Edge it sounds super cheap. That they should get that in line. They should maybe, should they do, I'm okay with TouchWiz. Maybe they could make it a little bit more streamlined, a little bit lighter still, but I don't have an issue with that. What they could also do is maybe put speakers on the top at one point, if they can manage that. But with the home button, this won't be quite possible. So not really too much to change here. Maybe if I would think a little bit harder, a little bit longer, I would find something. But as for right now, the color, the white point is the one main thing that I would like to have changed, and the buttons. That's the one thing. Now, LG G5, I think I would need a whole nother video for that, because they would need to change too much. They would have to make their device more compact. The speaker seems to be quite good this time. Get away with the modularity. I don't need that. Give me a one block phone and that is good for me. I don't want to use any of those modules. And even though I may be against innovation in this case, I don't want it. I want a great phone and I don't want a gadget. Even though a phone is a gadget, but I don't want a transformer. If I want that, I buy something specific for that. So I don't need that. The button, I don't know, I'm not the biggest fan of the finger or the fingerprint reader with the power button on the back. Give me one on the side in addition to the fingerprint reader on the back and I would be happy. But there's so many things about the G5 they should change. So don't want to waste too much time on that. Huawei, what should Huawei change? The one main thing, maybe get their UI in line in terms of design. They don't have to make it stock-like, but at least they should get rid of the ugly ass icons. But that's also not a huge issue, because I will anyways use Nova Launcher, use a custom icon pack, and then it is fine. And the overall UI itself looks still a little bit Tron-like with those cyan glowing colors and all that, but still totally fine. It would be nice if that would be a little bit toned down, a little bit more material design. But other than that, the software is nice. They should definitely, one thing they should get rid of is the odd battery management. Just use stock Android. It should be fine enough. Huawei, just try it. Give it a chance. It doesn't have to be your annoying style. No other manufacturer does that, so you shouldn't either. HTC? I can't really tell what they should change until I've tried the HTC 10. Then I will know, but from what I see right now, they did pretty much everything right. The camera seems spot on this time. The design looks really great. It's maybe make the device a little bit smaller, at least the side bezels, so I can grip it easier. The buttons seem great. Design, like I said, also with the glass. Power button, get that symmetrical and you have a friend. The UI, way more stock than ever, which is fine. I'm personally, and I said that just yesterday to someone, I'm actually not a big of a fan of stock Android if we don't have any additional options here. But HTC has a good reputation for custom ROMs, so I don't see this too much of an issue, so all good here. Motorola, what do I want them to change? I definitely want them to have front stereo speakers again. Definitely. The device already felt great. Make it small. I want a small flagship again. Give me something at around 5.2 inches as an option. If you plan to do something like the Pure again, at least that is actually something that every manufacturer should change. Give me a small and a big option. Then you would satisfy the whole market. Because this is the one thing that I've seen. Yesterday I released my video S7 versus S7 Edge and I talked about the differences. And I said it. Some people said I actually like the S7 more, but I got the better battery life and a bigger screen on the Edge. That's why I took that. And I said to everyone, yes, that is exactly what they should do. Give me the option. And that is why I think Samsung made such a great decision this year on releasing a big and a small one at the same time. I would have been actually more happy if they would have released the regular S7 and the bigger regular S7. It wouldn't have to be an Edge, but there are still enough people to like that, so I'm good. But they gave me an option for a compact phone. 5.1 inches still is compact, and they gave an option for the people who want the bigger phone. And this is something that everyone should do. Give me a big option to satisfy the phablet user and give me still an option, and I still know there are a lot of people who would prefer a good smaller phone. And yeah, I will stop this video just for a second so I can record it once again, so give me a sec. Now, okay, I am back, and actually it won't be too much longer, but actually the funny thing is I said I will make less topics, so I have a little bit more time to cover them in the time that I have, and then I make a video again that is more than half an hour long, which is quite funny. But I actually planned to do this thing like the flagships of 2016, what we know so far, and maybe the what to improve, to make a separate video, and that it won't even be rambling, because before I started doing this rambling, I thought actually I won't have even enough topics, and then I just had two along with the replies on the feedback, and it's already too long. But the great thing is I've enjoyed this rambling a lot, and this will give me a great motivation to make my next two videos because I'm in the right mood. Because what I notice, if I do a rambling before a review, I'm more in this casual loose style still, and I can make the video way easier. Because if I start a review, I'm a little bit more stiff still. I need a little bit of warming up. Yeah. So the next topic would be, I can scratch off the kind of thread of the Hangouts. The one thing that I will talk before I'm going to ask my question that I want you to answer at the end of the video. Attack on Titan Junior High. If you've seen the original series, Attack on Titan, and I'm talking about the Japanese series, the animated one, not the odd real life one. There is one, but I didn't even want to watch that because every time I watched anime and then watched the real life, it was pretty much garbage. No. So Attack. So I saw this and I had to try it because I'm a huge fan of Attack on Titan, and actually things like, and now I just have to assume you know Attack on Titan. If you don't, you can skip this topic, but I'm pretty sure at least I have I know at least I have a few viewers who watch it, who know what it is. It is an anime of, there are titans that are in this world, and they kind of eat the people in this world, and they try to defend themselves against them. And the main character lost his mother in the first episode, and man, this was heartbreaking. It was really well done, the emotions, and this is the main thing why I watched this series, because of the emotions of the lead character. He convinced me from like the first 5 minutes with his anger, his sadness, his crying, his motivation to kill all those titans, and this completely packed me. And the whole series was like this. The titans itself, they just look so odd, and that was a little bit hard to get used to me first because they looked so odd and really weird with those stupid faces, no genitals and all that. Of course, it would have been a little bit weirder if they would run with their cocks outside, since they are naked. Of course, I had to assume you know that. But no, there was something released called Attack on Titan Junior High, and I thought at first, what's that? Because the second season isn't supposed to come until later this year, if at all. And Junior High, I thought, wait, Japanese guys, so maybe they will make something like a spin-off that is in a joke, funny way. And man, they did. Of course, I have to say it's really loosely based on Attack on Titan, because the Titans, I'm at, I think, episode 10 or 13 now, don't really play a huge role. It's more in this school, and the characters are the same from the main show, but as children with big heads. That is something common for animes, and it is definitely funny because the cool thing is they have the same emotions, this anger, this passion, this hate, this sadness, but in a very humorous way, because what they are angry about is, because the first thing actually, because in Attack on Titan, for example, there was one scene where one Titan grabbed someone, put him in the mouth, and then he broke him and he ate him. What he did though in the first episode, he got him in his mouth, and instead of biting him off or something like that, he spit him out and he just kept his lunch. So what the Titans do in Junior High is eat the lunch of the school, of the scholars. Is that the right word? Yeah, the children that go to school there. And that is quite funny, because the first time when he's always the main character, Aaron, he's always saying, he took something precious from me and they will have to pay for it. I will kill all the Titans. They took something precious from me. And later in the first episode, you realize that what precious he took from them, or the Titans took from him, was his cheeseburger steak. That is kind of like a cheeseburger steak or something like that. And it was funny because his mother as well, she didn't got eaten this time. So it's definitely funny. It's really, you have to like animes, of course, and it's actually a little bit odd, because if someone liked the seriousness and the harsh environment of Attack on Titan, this will definitely be something quite different. But I'm also up for these funny hentais. I think you got that. Anyways, so it was funny. But yeah, it's not the best series. I've definitely seen better anime so far. So the question now, to not make it any longer, would be, what are the best non-mainstream YouTubers you know? And I want you to put a list up there. At least give me like 3, at least to maybe 5, because I definitely want to know a few more, because I've noticed that I want to go. I'm a little bit bored, or a little bit not annoyed of the bigger YouTubers, because yes, we talked about that already. A lot of ads and a lot of sponsored posts and all that, and it's gotten quite repetitive. You always see the same. The reviews have become stagnant, and I've talked to that with a few other YouTubers already. That, and who was it? It was, yes, techtablets.com, and we talked about it. There was this podcast with Michael Fisher, and he said something like, if you have a video, all these newer YouTubers, if you watch the footage, it's really cinematic, it's really well done, but if you would actually listen to what they say, there's not too much meaning, there's not too much behind that. So just take it like this. If you watch the footage, you would see a really great video. Now take that footage off and just listen to it, and you would sometimes notice that what they actually tell you is quite shallow, doesn't give you too much information. Now, for example, if you would take my footage away, you wouldn't really lose much, but you also really don't want to watch my audio either. Just that, because of this wonky, rambling English issues, with the misspelling, mispronunciation and all that. And that is actually something odd, because after I watch my videos in editing, I notice that I make so many issues, or yeah, that's another example. I have so many issues and I make so many mistakes in terms of my grammar and pronouncing words, and people told me, you always say this word wrong and you always say this word wrong. I know how it's spelled or pronounced right, but in the heat of the moment, I just want to get the information out, and my brain is a little bit busy, I think, and doesn't get it out right. I know how it is pronounced and I know the grammar, but getting this in combination with actually thinking about what I want to tell and talk to the camera or talk to the device. Yeah, talking to the device isn't always that easy. So, well, what I don't want to get. Yeah, so you don't want to have that, but a good combination of footage and audio is key. And what we get from the YouTubers like Android Authority, Android Central, and all the common ones like MKBHD and all that, is pretty much all stuff we have seen. And yes, my videos are all repetitive as well. Mine are always me being in front of the camera, showing off the device, talking about that. But at least it's me. You see my what is that actually called in English? If I use my expressions, my facial expressions in it, because a few viewers told me that my facial expressions are quite funny, but not that I do them on purpose or intentional, but why should I hide them? Why should I be neutral? If I, for example, that's the most common thing where you see this happen is on the audio part. I have this device here laying, and then I like make, why not? I would actually like to do this even more so, but yeah, if it's not necessary, if I don't think like doing that, I won't do it. But at least you see the person, and that is something that I actually appreciate to see even more, so that a few YouTubers are going a little bit back, at least some of them showing them in front of the camera, because I appreciate the eye-to-eye contact way more than just seeing raw footage without seeing the person at all. I definitely want to see the YouTuber. I want to see what he thinks of the device, because what is the issue of these scripted videos for me is he reads the script, and most of them can't really deliver down the emotions, what they think of it. A few really good ones that actually knew to do that was Michael Fisher. Right now it's Juan Carlos Bagner. They make this reading but still talking to you so natural that you actually get what they think about the device. But on so many reviews you see what they read, and because of this neutrality of reading things objectively like that, you don't really know what's really bad or what's really good, because everything is like this one line. If I don't like something, and this is, I think, the best example was, I think, the Lumia 950 review, where someone, I think it was that, where I'm not quite sure who it was, actually mentioned that I, throughout the whole video, sounded disgusted about the device. And I never said I was disgusted. I never did really call out anything super bad. But if my facial expressions and my whole personality shows this, that is actually something that maybe tells you more than a lot of words. Because if I do, the performance is good, and do something like this, then you know it's good, just good. So that's what, actually getting back to what I want to. I want more of these YouTubers, and it's quite hard to find them. If watching really more videos from the recommended list and watching through the searches and looking for that, I found a really few ones, but I definitely hope that you know more of these, because this wasn't, even though it sounded again like a bash on the big ones. They do a great job, but it's just not something that I personally enjoy. I watch those as well, and I enjoy these still, but I kinda appreciate the more casual, genuine style. So if you know a few of them, post them down in the comments below, because I want to have more of these in my streams. So I can, with time, be less and less depending on the big ones. Of course, the first reviews, the big reviews, the important reviews will always be from the big ones. But if I get, for example, like 1 month later, a good video, or for example, it doesn't even have to be videos, because there's something like Eposvox, he doesn't actually review a lot of devices, but he does a lot of tutorials and guides. Or Jay's 2 cents, of course, he is big, but he doesn't actually review that many things, but he makes a lot of tutorials, guides, and just kind of vlogs. And I think that will be the big important thing, maybe for the next part of 2016, and maybe in the future of YouTube, that the YouTubers become close or get closer to you, get more personal with you. And that's why in some way Periscope is great, because just yesterday I watched another Periscope with Kevin the Tech Ninja, and this is where you see them as raw as possible. You see them just talking, they don't mind, because they have an audience of like 40, 50 people maybe at best. For example, who also does really great ones, but I just watched I think 2 or 3, I miss them usually, is Ed from TechSource. He is super down to earth still. He talks with all the people. He answers all the really interesting questions that you wouldn't get answered anyways. And I'm one of the very few ones who actually does these ramblings and is pretty much the same as he would be on a Periscope. Okay, I can't really answer any questions, but I would do this as well on the live hangouts. But this is, I think, also content that the bigger ones can't really afford to have on their channel, because if they want to have a portfolio to get the device and all, be that big and all that, these kind of videos, they look a little bit out of place. You want something to show yourself off, which I don't really mind. I'm making this as a hobby, and I'm at the point where I get already a good amount of review devices. Of course, I want to get bigger to get them earlier, but the main premise is to have fun, and I get enough review devices to have fun, but I definitely want to be closer to you, to the person, to the viewer. Be more in touch with you, get all the feedback. And that is why maybe the one comment that I got on the last video that said you shouldn't, or why some viewers may be gone because they liked the one-to-one interaction, let's battle, one-to-one interaction in the Hangouts, because this was live and I could react live. Because on these ramblings that I do, it maybe is personal how I talk to you, but if you then comment, it's just a text answer, and I definitely reply every time. But it's definitely not the same if I would answer right after being asked, or if you would maybe ask me in person on a live hangout. So I totally get that. And he said that since that is gone, maybe some of them really appreciated that, and that is gone, so they left. That could be a reason. Not quite sure if that is the reason, but to get to the question back again, tell me your best non-mainstream YouTubers and why you like them would be also nice. And this video is super long, and it's longer than Scrapyard was, which is around 35-40 minutes. I beat him. No, but yes, and I know. No, do I know? Okay, the thing is, I wanted to make these a half hour long at max. This one will be around 45 minutes, maybe even longer. It is 45 already. So I know it's definitely way too long for many. I know there are a few hardcore viewers, like maybe 5. who will watch the whole thing and who will actually give me a feedback. And the code word is, if you watch the whole thing, butterfly. Just came up in my mind. But if you watch the whole video, leave that in the comments so I know you've watched the whole video. And I don't want you to leave butterfly in the comment if you've just switched to this part and maybe saw this. Butterfly. Sprinkles. Sprinkles is the second word. If you have both of these that have been separated, then I know you're hardcore. You really have to be hardcore to watch that whole thing. But I also know that a few actually just listen to them. So maybe it wouldn't have been necessary for me to record this in 4K. Because I recorded this video in 4K, so my 1080p footage will be better. And the bad thing maybe about that is, because I have storage issues, I will definitely have to buy another SSD, because this one is full every time. I have to delete content every time so I can get that out. But once again, to get to the end, butterfly, sprinkles. If you enjoyed these ramblings, let me know in the comments. And I know people like Matthias Elnaby, Andreas Wheeler, John Matthews, Dean Wallace, Jeremy Collins, all those people, all the hardcore fans that I have. And yes, I'm sure I forgot some as well, but I really appreciated the positive feedback, because especially I think it must have been Matthias Elnaby who said every Damir Franz video is a highlight, and whenever he sees that, he knows there's a good video out there. And hearing something like this gives me so much of a good feeling, because also there was a review I got a comment on last time. He said, why don't you have already 100,000 subscribers? You should be way bigger. And I said, I won't get there anytime ever, but he said, yeah, wait, you will. And then some others say, you are so great, you deserve way more subscribers. And comments like these really motivate me. And that's why I make these videos, and why I make all the reviews, give you the best possible information that I can give you with the limited amount of time, and why I actually sacrifice so much of my free time, because the feedback gives me such a good feeling inside and really helps me a lot. And it's definitely not the money. But there is one thing that I actually still have to say, because Kevin said it yesterday on his Periscope. People asked him if he will do the the iPhone SE review, and he said no, because if I would buy that for $450, I would have to get at least 200,000 views not to lose any money. And he also said YouTube is not about making money but not losing money. And here I totally agree, because I am still, as a total, from all that I spent here on the equipment and all the room and all that, still in the red numbers. Even though I get a little bit something back on YouTube, and I don't really spend it on devices, and this is crucial. If I wouldn't have the press agencies here in Germany that give me devices for free, where I only have to pay for the shipping back, then I wouldn't be able to afford it, because I would have to shell out even more money. And at some point it's still shit if you have to pay for a hobby that you like to do, but if it costs you too much, because at one point maybe I will be in the blacks. But as long as I don't lose too much, it's okay for me. I don't have to make money, because I've never really spent any of the money that I got from YouTube on anything that I wanted personally. It was either on new equipment, on improving the room, or anything like that. It never really was anything that I ever had something of outside of YouTube. But man, this is getting 50 minutes. Thanks again. I hope you enjoyed it, because I do. And I wanted to express this once again, because I wanted to tell you why it's so important for me to have you as a viewer. Even though I would guess, let's make a guess, the audience retention of this video will be 17%. And next week I will tell you if that is true. Butterfly, sprinkles. Bye.